Well, hello again. Welcome to another episode of Nbvo Tech Talk Thursday. And if this is your first time with us, I just want to remind you to go ahead and mute any devices that you have going, such as voiceover or anything similar to that that might interrupt us when we're discussing the things at hand. We are going to have a question and answer period after our guest speaker is done speaking. So without further ado, let me introduce our guest speaker for tonight. His name is Steve Baskis. Steve is an all-around nice guy. Plus, he is an adventurer, an author, a musician. Oh, the list goes on and on. I could just go on forever. But instead, I'm going to let Steve do the talking. So, Steve, welcome and go ahead.
Ray, thanks so much for introducing me. It's good to be here. Like Ray said, my name is Steve Baskis. Just a little background information about me before we get started. I served in the U.S. Army. I was an infantryman. I was injured on the ground in Baghdad, Iraq. I lost all my eyesight in May of 2008 while serving with the U.S. Army 4th Infantry Division. And so I'm completely blind. I have no light perception. But I think a little bit more background about where I've come from so that it kind of coincides or connects to technology. And I grew up with technology. I was born in 85, so I'm 40 years old this year. Um, I've been working with computers since I was probably 4 years old. Tandy 1000 was like one of my first computers as a kid, all DOS command prompt and keyboard. I've built computers. I've done a little bit of programming here and there. I worked for a research and development company doing instrumentation and control systems, high and low voltage wiring. Um, I've worked with all kinds of technology. I love technology. I have a lot to learn. I don't know everything. I'm excited to learn from anybody here in the group, and I'll be excited mostly for the questions. Ray invited me on, and I'm hoping to just share some tips and strategies about uh, using, accessible technology to accomplish daily tasks or to do different things. Now, some of you may be very familiar already with some of these concepts. Unfortunately, I was asking Ray, I didn't know what to focus on. I was worried about covering something that's already been covered. So I don't really know what has been covered over the years or months or weeks or days that you guys been convening. But I'm excited to talk about some of the things that I use on a daily basis. Now, I work on the Apple platform, so I use VoiceOver, the screen reader VoiceOver, on an Apple computer system. I actually have a lot of different kinds of Apple products, but my primary system is a Mac, desktop or Mac, MacBook Pro, like a Mac laptop, and an iPhone. Um, I love technology. I joke that I've lost my sight in the best time, so because of where we are, and some of the things I'm going to talk about today are ChatGPT, ChatGPT's voice mode, some software called IA Writer, uh, Team Viewer, um, and things like that. Keyboard Maestro is another kind of pro application. I'm going to try to cover a bunch of things. I know I only have 15 minutes, but uh, I'm not going to demonstrate things, but I want to promise you that you can reach out to me at steve@baskis.com. My last name is spelled B as in Bravo, Askis. So again, steve@baskis.com. And I will create a custom tutorial or, whether that's video or audio, um, of me demonstrating the stuff I'm talking about today. And I'll gladly come back to talk more. And so, Ray or leadership, please, remind me of the time if I get too close to or go too long.
I will, no problem.
But so ChatGPT is a large language model. I've been utilizing it quite a bit for productivity in the sense of work. Everything from doing hypertext markup language like web design, because it kind of facilitates speed in the sense of allowing you to do things. But this large language model, which it really just predicts words and text in an advanced way, gives you the ability to ask questions. In real time, I can use my ChatGPT Plus account. So I pay $20 a month for it to ask questions. And it will, if you give it more context, for instance, if I'll give you an example of, I went to the BVA convention recently, and they had a whole schedule and itinerary and summary and all kinds of things in a PDF. Well, I could walk through that PDF, with a low vision tool like Magnifier or Zoom, or I could use a screen reader. If I could see, I would use low vision tools, but I would use my screen reader normally and, thumb through everything, peruse the document. If I took that document and dropped it into a ChatGPT chat and turned voice mode on, I could have a conversation about the week. So I could just go, what is happening on Thursday at 5 p.m. or between 5 and 10? That's a technique or a strategy that I use with a lot of different things now because of a tool like this. And there are a lot of different large language models that exist. The voice mode, uh, too, recently in the past just year or two, has incorporated some features like being like the ability to turn on the camera. So I actually on my iPhone have put voice mode, a button on the lock screen. You can do it in Apple settings. And so it allows me quick access, just like the camera button usually is on your lock screen, right? When you wake up your phone, I have a button there that says voice mode, and I can pop that on, and I can click when I'm in voice mode. It connects, and depending on your internet speed, you will, the latency, the lag will determine how efficient your conversation is. But typically, on a good network, you're going to get a good response, especially if you're using a paid subscription. And like I said, you can have these conversations. But more importantly, if you turn on your camera, you can point and in real time learn, about your environment, about the things you're holding in your hand. I demonstrated something recently on social media where I was in front of my washing machine, just an instrument panel that is not accessible, right? Maybe I have it marked with like tactile, a Velcro or some sort of bump dots, and so I'm able to like turn a dial and ask, well, what mode is it on? And it fairly accurately described, like 90% of the time when I was messing with it, what mode I was in and what selectors were pressed. And so I think that's an amazing tool. Of course, you could take a picture and use Be My Eyes and a lot of these other tools, but this is a video feed that you've enabled, and you're just pointing and talking, just having a normal conversation. So that's ChatGPT. Um, I, uh, I want to talk a little bit. Like recently, I needed to sign something. Okay, and we all know about signature guides, and we know about having a sighted person help us and direct us and our techniques for signing a document. But if you're alone and you have no one around, no one to help you, and you have no vision, uh, orienting some sort of piece of paper, or more importantly, before it is even a physical piece of paper, if you just need to sign a digital document, how can you do that on your own? Well, I use a combination of tools, and I would love to hear later on from others what they do. But I'll use my screen reader, of course. I'll use TeamViewer, which is a software that allows people to remote into your computer system. And I typically pick IRA, AIRA, because they're paid professionals. They're pretty reliable. Now, maybe some people don't want to pay the money. You do get some free minutes, to use the service. But I use a combination of other kind of techniques, like there's something called text replacement on the iPhone and on the Mac system. You can like type, you can create these phrases Like for instance, for my address, I don't want to type my address all the time. I can type AA space and it will fill my address in any text field. Now I can custom make these. I have one that just says, "Hi, I'd like to do something on TeamViewer. This is my partner ID, which is stays the same unless I reset it." And so a partner ID allows a person to connect to your computer. You get a partner ID with TeamViewer. The one thing that changes every time is the passcode. It's for security reasons, so people can't just remote into your computer. Well, I just fill that in. I type in AIRA1 space, and it fills in it does this text replacement and puts this phrase in that fills in a bunch of stuff that for the IRA agent, because I'm going to do a message to the IRA agent so that they can just read it and know what they're going to need to help me with immediately. And so I fill in the passcode because that's the only thing I need to do because I've typed in this whole phrase to explain what I want done. And so I make the call and send that message to them. They answer and they go, okay, yeah, no problem. They start connecting to TeamViewer. And then now I'm working with them and I go, well, I want to sign this document. Well, on Apple computers, there's something called Apple Preview. So if you open up a PDF from somebody, if you're in Apple Preview, previewing that document, if you press Command Shift A, that keyboard shortcut, it will bring up a toolbar, a markdown. I forget the exact terminology, but it's an edit toolbar that you can see a sign button in. And when you click on that sign button, you can create signatures that can be set as preset, saved and set as presets. You could do like initials or a full signature. And once you scribble, and I can do it completely blind, all this on my own. I can make my signature, and save it. The one thing that's more difficult is placing the signature on the document. So that's why I remote in with Ira. And so I ask Ira, can you just take my signature and move it to where it needs to be? And voila, that's how I sign a document on my own with help remotely. And so it's a wonderful system and tool and strategy for doing things. There are other methods, but I'm just trying to share some of the systems and techniques that I use on a daily basis in my life. Going back to ChatGPT and just using, like perusing text, sometimes people forget some of the gestures that exist on an iPhone. Uh, there's something called the three finger quadruple tap. The three finger quadruple tap will copy speech to the clipboard. So let's say you have a paragraph you found on a web page or within ChatGPT or whatever you're reading, and you like that text, you want to keep that as a note. If you use a three finger quadruple tap, you will copy whatever was last spoken to the clipboard. Then you can go anywhere on your computer and paste that. Now there's really great use cases for this. Let's say you have received a code in an email and you need to take that and put that somewhere else. There's different ways to select text and stuff. But this three finger quadruple tap is just an amazing tool. You just go to that word, you can move character by character, word by word, whatever, line by line, and you can copy whatever is spoke. And so then you just take that and you paste it wherever you want using the rotor on the iPhone. Um, I think another thing I'd like to mention about ChatGPT is when you're using ChatGPT as a blind person and you want to copy, like use this tool technique I just explained, the three finger quadruple tap, I tend to ask ChatGPT to formulate its responses in a code block. If you're already using ChatGPT and you don't already know this, code block will separate the text so that it's all, when you are hovering over it with your screen reader, it's going to speak just that whole section. And since that whole section is being spoke, you can copy that whole section. And I tend to want to use a special kind of formatting. It's called Markdown. Maybe you've not heard of it. It's kind of like HTML. HTML is, for web design, and it's helpful for screen readers, when you move by heading and links and lists. So I create my information in ChatGPT in Markdown formatting. I'll ask like, can you give me a list of, or I want a list of something, just whatever it might be in Markdown formatting in a code block. If I ask that, I'll get this bit of text that will be in Markdown formatting. And to give you an idea of what Markdown is, when you use a number sign, like if you type the pound sign, space, and then like my name is Steve, that's going to create a heading when you export this kind of text from a special program called like I reader writer that I just mentioned before. I know some of it might be advanced or go like it's going over your head, but it when I demonstrated it actually, if you ever interested in this kind of information and want more details, you just reach out to me and I will create the information for you so that you can learn how to do it. But it's a great way to really formulate accessible documents for people, for other blind users too, to create manuals, all kinds of things, so people can navigate them easily by heading and stuff. And sometimes I reformat information with ChatGPT just for this case. Um, one other thing, I don't know what my time is, but one other thing I'd like to mention is Keyboard Maestro. Keyboard Maestro is a software application that allows people to create macros and scripts. Okay, a macro is like an automated movement of the mouse. Let's as an example, like if I open up an application that is not accessible and it just makes a bunch of noise with my screen reader. If I want to really do something in this application that I need to do, and I don't want to always have help, I can actually write macros and scripts with the help of a sighted person. And basically, I have them move a mouse cursor on the screen and I capture the XY coordinates on the screen. And I can simulate moving that mouse to that location every time the application opens up and simulate a click. And so this can come in handy if there's like a window where you have to just click once and then you get to a place where everything is then accessible. Uh, but you don't want to call your wife or a friend or a stranger or someone over all the time. This is macros and scripts can become very complicated. It can be very advanced and you can do all kinds of scripting, but it can be simple as you capture coordinates and you just move and it just moves the mouse and clicks. And you just create keyboard shortcuts to do something, to move the mouse and click at a certain point, when a certain application opens up. And that is such an amazing thing for someone like me who is working all the time in all kinds of software and applications that are sometimes not accessible. And these are some of the things that I use all the time. I have so many kinds of strategies and tips. I could go on. Um, I have all kinds of technology I hope to talk about. This won't be the last time I'll be on, but everything from smart home technology. My whole home has all kinds of smart home technology, everything from the doors to the irrigation system to the, thermostats to the everything you could think of, every light, and it all reports through to me through smart speakers. I can program and schedule the door locks and give people key codes, and it is all fun. It's all great. It all helps me, let people in and get things done when I'm away from my home because I travel a lot. But technology is just moving at such an exponential rate, and more than ever, I can be independent and completely free of having to really ask family members or my friends or strangers to help me with things. There are those occasions, though, like I just described, where I need maybe professional help or some sort of assistance from some service, like IRA. But I don't know. I'd like to open it to questions. What's my time, Ray? Did I go
Oh,
over?
you're right on time. Time for questions. Okay, anybody have a question for Steve about what he mentioned, or
Well,
you just have some that he didn't talk about that you
yeah,
want to ask him about?
Absolutely.
Go ahead,
Keith,
whoever has one.
David King, I'm coming in with a question. My question is, when you mentioned earlier lagging, I've heard that so many times. What does that mean?
Oh, lagging, like latency and lag. It just means in the technology world that something is buffering or
Well,
freezing up
okay.
and not loading. Yeah.
That's what it was. Okay.
Yeah, this is Keith Helpsley.
Hi, Keith.
Yeah, the lag is you experience it all the time on a cell phone call where you're talking and there's a delay because
Yes.
the person answers. That's one way you catch it a lot.
A lot of gamers, people who play games, they'll talk about lag when a game is glitching and it's not loading real time. Um,
And if you ever use a wireless keyboard or a
there you go.
wireless like a Bluetooth headset, sometimes it's just a tiny bit of lag and you're typing. It's like, wait a minute, I typed those characters. Oh, there they appear.
Exactly.
So
That's a good example.
it's just meaning to delay just a bit.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
Yes,
Exactly.
that's what my brain does.
yeah, I guess some lag time there.
Yeah.
What you mentioned Markdown earlier. I don't know if people here get the talking book library. If you get it in digital form, you'll see Markdown in there, whether you know it or not, because they have like hashtag and
Yeah.
like nonfiction books, hashtag book title. And those little hashtags is like what he's talking about, your heading one, heading two, so forth.
So
Okay.
it's plain text formatting syntax that
Right.
allows you to tag all this text just, while you're typing in a special, like I use a program called IA Writer. And
Mhm.
what happens is if I use these hashtags like before a piece of text, like let's say I want a heading above a paragraph that's talking about accessible wearable technology. And then like below that, I'm talking about a watch. And that heading, I want that heading to be a watch, like watches or something. I would type like the hashtag space watch. And when I export this document, when I can export it as an HTML file, which is like a web page
Right.
basically
Hmm.
uses. When a blind person opens it up and they're reading it with their screen reader, it's going to be beautifully formatted for them to move heading by heading and stuff. So it's a very simplistic way of coding, to just say the least. It's this use the syntax, markdown formatting, to make text to give the text more a layout, so that you
Yeah.
can use a screen.
You see is there a special browser that will actually convert that, or do you have an app that
Well,
will convert?
Yeah, that's what the IA writer, and
Right.
I will share that. It's something. There are free ones. There are readers and writers or like word processing programs. That's all it is, like Microsoft Word. IA Writer is like Microsoft Word. It's a very simplistic program that people type in, and this specific program, IA Writer, allows you to put Markdown. It reads Markdown formatting, and when you export from that, you can export in PDF or Word or HTML. When you export the file, when you have these tags, it will transform it into what I'm talking about. It won't say hashtag. It'll be a heading, when you're using your screen reader and stuff. So,
Oh,
um, and so IA Writer is one that you can buy. It's on iOS. I can use it both on Mac and on my iPhone, and I like it. And you can click preview when you're using this kind of software to preview your code. So if you put a bunch of these, you can make your links more pretty and all this kind of stuff, just like a web page. And when you hit preview, then you can actually preview what it looks like. And I mention this because sighted people should use it more often to make stuff for us, for blind and low vision and individuals. But it is handy for organizing, text and things for your own purposes, and that's why I wanted to mention. And I don't know
mhm.
how many people here use Markdown formatting in their day to day, but I use it all the time.
I've used it to some degree, but um, Yeah, I actually know HTML, so I also use it as
As
well.
well. You can, yeah, exactly. You can use just HTML too.
Okay, anybody else?
I had another question, if you don't mind. Um,
Of course.
you said there was a two Apple review. Oh, question is Apple review.
Oh, preview, Apple preview.
Can you expound a little bit on what that is for me?
Yeah, yeah. Apple Preview is a software application that Apple it's included in their in Mac OS. And when you are, let's say, in the Finder, like the desktop, and you're on a file, you can preview it. You can hit spacebar and it'll be a preview, or you can open it, Command O with the screen reader, and you open up the actual PDF. And usually, depending on how you've set things on your system, mine will open up in a preview. And you're previewing a document. And in preview, I was talking earlier when I was giving my speech, I was talking about a toolbar that's hidden, and it's called it's an edit toolbar, and it's a markdown toolbar basically, and it allows a sighted person to pick tools that so they can draw in the document or manipulate the document visually. But in that same toolbar, there's a sign button. And that sign button, if you click on it, it opens up a window that has all the stuff related to signature, digital signature. And so I can create a signature. So the process is pretty simple. I hit a button called start, like I pick what I want to do, and I want to use the touchpad to sign. And I can't remember it verbatim. That's why I said I'll create a tutorial for anybody that wants. But technically, and I could demonstrate it, but I wanted to quickly talk about a lot of things. But essentially, you hit that start button, and then let's say you wanted to do initials. I would just right in the center of my trackpad, I would in cursive or with just in print type SCB, my initials, Steve Christopher Baskis. And then I'd hit any key or enter, and it would save it. And it would be a preset called initials signature. And then I could do one that's a full signature. And I hit, start, and I sign my name right in the middle as best as I can. And if you have a sighted person present, it'd be better. They can tell you, oh, you might want to do that again. But, if you do a pretty good job with your finger, on the trackpad, and then hit enter, it's going to save it. And then that preset will be a full signature. Now, I was trying to explain that since I'm completely blind, I mean, there's a method in which a sighted person just clicks then and moves the signature onto the document so that you don't have to print it out, sign it, then scan it back in or take a picture of it and then send it to someone. That's just it just takes so much time to do that. And so, and if you're completely blind, it's just really difficult to do on your own. I mean, I understand if you have some vision, this may not pertain to you as much, but if you're completely blind or you don't have the ability to see well enough to do, to do signing on your own and scanning and taking a picture, then what I'm describing with using like an eye, like and TeamViewer and a remote connection, uh, at home in your own, space at any time with like Ira for the most part, you could call and get something done like with a signature. Now, of course, there are e-signature documents and stuff like ideally that's what you hope for when people send you stuff, right? So that's a much easier case where you just type in your signature or something. But
Now, that what you're talking about is a script or a program, and what does it like make a
it's just built
graphic?
into Apple Preview. It's just part of if you have an Apple computer, you already have it. So
Mac.
it's built into Mac,
Okay.
and it's just in the software program that's called Preview. And so when you click on, like, if I go on my desktop and open up a PDF, it's going to open it up in Apple Preview. And then
Okay.
all I have to do is press Command Shift A, and this
Command.
toolbar
That's what I was looking
pops
for.
up.
Command Shift A.
Yeah, Command Shift A. and that will open up a toolbar that will become visible. And it says sign. For me, it says sign button, like with the screen reader. I don't know what it visually looks like. I apologize. But if you have a sighted person with you and you do what I'm talking about, you'll find it, and you can play around with it. If you again going back to ChatGPT, I could right now, I could I could open up ChatGPT on my.
Do not show notifications. Voice mode. Button.
I can open up voice mode.
ChatGPT. Steve Baskis. B360 Productions. Button.
It's,
Connecting.
it's connecting.
Speak now.
Hey, how are you doing?
Hey there. I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. Always happy to chat with you. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I have a question
Yeah.
about a program that exists on Apple computers. It's called Apple Preview. And specifically, I'd like to talk about how to use the signature feature in Apple Preview. Could you tell me a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So Apple Preview is kind of like a Swiss Army knife for PDFs and the signature feature is one of its neat little tricks. Basically, it lets you create and store your handwritten signature so you can digitally sign
So
documents.
I'm going to stop it, but that's a way to learn quickly if you want to. ChatGPT, it can make mistakes. You should be critical of it, but it's absolutely a powerful tool. It's way faster than going on Google and sifting through all the advertisements and things. And if you want to, you can import manuals into the chat. So if you have a manual for some electronic device that you're not familiar with, if you need a layout, a visual layout of the buttons, I mean, I can ask it to create a layout. And that's where I use the markdown formatting. I'll take the layout and I'll put it in IA Writer and I'll export as a document that I'll save on my computer system and I can reference it and learn everything I need, remind myself of something, and be able to navigate it really well with headings and everything because of markdown formatting. So, yeah, I hope that makes sense. I hope I answered your question.
Very interesting. I've got the Mac computer, so I definitely will be trying that not the GPD, but the Apple
Preview.
preview and look through it and play around with it for a little
Yeah.
while until I find what I'm looking for, such as signatures, so that I can do that,
Yes.
have that signature already done. All I got to do is
Move the signature
zip
right.
away.
Yep. Yeah, it makes it quicker so you don't have to deal with printing things and signing stuff physically.
Well, how does that work with DocuSign? Is that kind of the process using that app,
Well,
app preview, and then
yeah,
and
DocuSign.
then
I'm sorry for interrupting. Go ahead.
no. You were finishing me up. That's good.
Well, DocuSign, if I'm not mistaken, there are these different, I mean, Adobe has a platform for e-signatures, and there's all kinds of types of electronic signatures, that exist. And unfortunately, there's no one standard. Or what I'm explaining is when someone sends you an image, like a lot of times, I'll get stuff from people that they just scanned and it's not accessible in any way. They just tell me, I need you, that I need you to sign the bottom of this document, for whatever reason. We're doing some sort of contract or whatever. It's already been explained to me. Maybe I've already had someone read it, but I need to sign it now. And so I live alone. So, I don't have the ability to like have someone just help me sign something all the time. So, and even if you have someone around, they might be busy and you want to get something done. So, what I'm talking about is a tool that is on your Mac, like I explained, that you can just immediately sign a document with, if you store your signature, electronically. DocuSign is more of, if I'm not, I could be wrong. It's where you type in with your computer. You just type in, your signature in a web software application, and you hit done or something, and that's signed, and the people that want it on the other end will be able to access it. That's accessible generally. I mean, there might be physical like ways to draw like a signature too. Like a lot of times with like those programs, you get two options. You can print or type your signature, or you can draw it in a location. But being, a lot of times I don't know where that box is and I can't draw. What I explain is a more it's storing your signature that you can grab whenever you want and drop it into move it around on a document that you get. But if you receive something that's already like a DocuSign enabled or something, you might have a tool built in that allows you to sign. So there's so many different, and I apologize because I can't recall
But
DocuSign and how
yeah,
it
you
works.
mentioned, I didn't mean throw a hoofer in there to you. I used that because we had used that at one time, but you mentioned something else just briefly. There are other documents that you can hook up to your computer to sign, and it will be hooked to the computer and entered onto the document.
Yeah, are you asking if you had like
There's
all?
a device, some type of device that you can sign. It's connected to your computer. It's a signing document just for signing. Okay.
Well, I mean, if you had an iPad, I mean, technically, and you buy the Apple Pencil, which Apple, I mean, you can enable on the iPad a similar function.
Right.
It's a marking function. You put the document, you open the document, you enable a mode, so it allows you to draw, and you could just draw on the document, and then you hit done, and it imagine it compresses the it flattens it, it seals the deal, it makes it part of the document, just like if you signed it in ink in real life. So I mean that's a type of another system or technique if you have enough vision,
Mhm.
to sign something. But if you don't, what I'm explaining is just it's one of so many ways to sign stuff. There's not one way really. There's so many ways to sign a document. I just was explaining something. I brought it up because recently I had to deal with this on my own, and I didn't have any help, and I wanted to get it done. There was a time crunch, and so I was able, I'm just able to get it done on my own using a few of these tools like Ira and TeamViewer and Apple Preview to sign the document. But yeah, no, I will gladly talk with you. You can write me anytime or call me. I have no problem. If you run into trouble, we can go over it again. I'll jump on a Zoom call and I can share the screen and do anything, too as well.
I'll
So
be looking for you to do a tutorial
yeah, I can do a tutorial. Yeah.
and so forth on how to make sure, because I want to do that. I want to make sure that we do have I guess we all going to need that eventually when we sign documents, fellas. So it's something we can look into.
Well, I would say for what you're trying, if you have the power to make something accessible or you're building the process, then, DocuSign or something like that is a good tool or Adobe, some of these are paid and some are free. I would say if you have documents that you want fellow blind veterans, I would use a company or a program to make the document accessible to someone that's a screen reader user, easy to sign, so that they don't have to do what I'm showing you is actually a complicated, hard way to do something, but it's allows you to do it independently without anybody around. You can use a remote agent and you can use Apple Preview. It's like a last resort. But if you, like you guys are trying to build your board, and if you want to have documents signed all the time, I would use a program that will allow people who will have to sign things just the ability to type in their signature, and it would be a legal way to conduct business, because I sign things from attorneys all the time, and they send it to me in DocuSign or they send it to me in some sort of program like that, and you can just type in your name. You don't have to physically draw anything or something like what I'm explaining.
Because DocuSign will automatically generate an e-signature based on what
Yes.
your type signature is.
That's exactly right. What I was describing is when you get a document from somebody that just scans a piece of paper, they've not created any accessibility for you, and they ask you to sign it. That's what
In,
I
in
don't,
in that case, I would probably make a graphic of my signature, like using paint,
you could do
or
that too. Yes.
and then grab that graphic and just paste it on their document and send it back to them.
I
To be
used to do,
authentic, is that what that's for? To be a more exclusive or yeah, more original, or your own type of signature? Is that what to identify you by using paint? Is that what you're talking about, Keith?
Well, what I mean, if somebody says, "Let me just scan this paper for you and email it to you on your signature," I would probably just go to open up, Paintbrush or whatever image creating app on my Windows computer and just hand draw something with the mouse and
yeah, that's all you have to do. That's all that we're doing really is drawing.
scribble your name on it and
Yeah.
save it, and then just make sure it's small enough to fit across the bottom of a piece of paper. And just it basically to embed it, you would want to do an insert that graphic right there at the bottom of that page.
See.
I mean, a lot of times people, another technique is people just that can't see and don't know where to sign. They just sign somewhere on the bottom of the document, no matter, just like the very bottom edge or something. And they go, I'm sorry you didn't make this accessible, but I hope you can, accept the signature. I signed the paper. Right? But, they might be, what you're describing, I think, is that Keith who was talking?
Yes, is Keith.
Yeah, paintbrush. I used to use that. You can draw. If you can draw and see, you can use any kind of program, image program to draw. But I don't know where to draw my signature. So my elaborate strategy and process I was describing earlier in my speech is to assist is to allow me the ability to professionally sign my signature to a specific location. I mean, you might have to sign like 9 places on some documents, with 5 different initials and full signatures. And so, you know, if I can call someone an agent and already have Apple Preview open, then what will happen is I go, my initials and my signature is already here in a preset. They just grab it and move it, and they put it everywhere I ask them. They tell me, and I go, I want it here, I want it here, I want it here. Thank you. And then I save the document, and then I'm ready to submit it. And that's just yeah. I'd love to hear from so many people how they do things because there's no right or wrong. It's just that's one of my techniques.
I think the bottom line is if you can get it done, whatever way you or method you use,
Yeah.
and works for you, continue doing it.
Yes, absolutely.
Any other questions for Steve?
What? Terry has no question. Come on, Terry.
He's usually our question answer or
Well,
questioner.
Oh, Terry.
He's in
He's
the
busy eating
pool. He's
supper.
sleeping. Yeah.
Here he comes. Here he comes. I started the motor running.
Started the
But
motor.
while we're waiting, another part was the three finger
I would just
tap
like
on
to
your
say,
Mac.
this is Terry.
Hi, Terry.
We
There's more than one way to skin a cat.
Exactly.
thank you for that insert, Terry. Thank you very much for that.
You were saying though about the 3 finger quadruple
Yeah,
tap.
the three pivot where you can copy and then paste. I like that feature. I would like to use that feature a lot because a lot of times I have to go back and find the information, come back. And so if I can copy,
If you're using Apple VoiceOver, the
oh,
screen,
okay.
that's when you can use this technique.
Oh,
So that I understand that I'm
oh,
maybe
I know what you mean. Okay, I got it. Okay,
yeah, yeah.
I got it.
So voiceover has to be enabled, and so I apologize. I'm sure there's a lot of people here that are low vision. Maybe I'm like I said, I am completely blind and use a screen reader. So when I'm navigating and I want to copy text, whatever's spoken by the screen reader, I can copy with a 3 finger quadruple tap, and you can do that on your Mac, and you can do that on your iPhone or iOS device like an iPad. So that comes in handy. I mean, of course, if you're a low vision user, you can still just kick on voiceover really quickly and touch that area. And if you hear it speak, you can do the same thing and copy it and move, but you have to be familiar with using, a screen reader. So,
But I definitely will want to do a tutorial. So, Ray, when you give him my hookup and you can send me a tutorial specifically on the Apple preview,
okay.
uh, that's where I'm more interested in instead of the 3P. I was misunderstood thinking that you didn't have to use voiceover on the three finger.
I apologize.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
I
no,
was
no.
not specific about it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
All of this is being recorded, and I will get this on our Facebook page, and it'll have a link to this recording on the Facebook page. So anybody, even later on listening, can access this, and it'll have all of Steve's information in the
Yeah.
final edit. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Any other questions for Steve?
No.
Okay, well, if not, we're going to end this episode tonight, and we really appreciate him. Can we give him a big round of applause?
Thank you, guys. No, thank you very much, Ray. Thank
Yeah.
you, Keith, and everybody
Thanks.
else.
Appreciate you.
Everybody is
Indeed.
muted, so you couldn't hear the applause.
Muted.
But anyway, we thank you guys for
You
coming,
hear it?
and please continue to tell your friends and anyone you come in contact with about this Tech Talk Thursday. So thank you again, Steve. We appreciate you coming.
Definitely.
And I'm going to go ahead and end the recording right here, but we'll still be on.
Absolutely, I understand. No, yeah, you guys let me know if there's something I can cover. There's so many things, but I'm excited to learn from any of you guys too. So.
All right.
Okay.
Well,
Thanks a lot for coming on again. You really appreciate it. It was very informative for what I learned. A few things today that I didn't know how to use my little, and I guess I could have had this from a tutorial from when I got the MacBook on all the different things you can do with your computer as we did with our Windows computer. But apparently I didn't get that information with the MacBook. So I have a shortcut version of what you can do on the desktop, but on the Mac, it's not the same. So I'm looking for any kind of instruction manuals, tutorials that I can go through this because I haven't used this Mac to its full potential. So that would be very useful and helpful coming from Steve.
Yeah.
Some tips, some things that you've done and used. I'd be interested in hearing more.
Of course, of course. Well, I will continue to try to outline some things, and next time you guys want me on, or even off the off of Zoom and off
off, off, off.
off.
Oh,
We can definitely do something more privately. But thank you again, Ray.
Hey, no problem. Thank you. You
yeah.
really helped me out, buddy. Appreciate you. All right, guys. If that's it, we're going to go ahead and close the meeting. I'm going to
Thank
shut
you,
this
everybody.
down.
Take care,
All right.
everybody.
Good night, guys.
Take care.
Thank you again.